What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future free state of Greater Idaho. I am the one-armed madman. And with me today, we've got Ronnie Mills. Ron, thanks for coming on, man. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here. You know, from a youth, I've always been interested in the paranormal.
Yeah.
And I got lucky when I came in Columbus. Another guy was in radio, and when podcasting started big and everything, he had me with a group of other guys, and they were doing a paranormal type of show. And all he wanted me to do was sort of like the ins and outs for it and stuff. Just kind of announce them and stuff like that and go into the commercials and stuff like that. So it's fine. But I've always seen it, and they didn't have any guests. I've always seen a thing in a vein of coast to coast.
Yeah. I love coast to coast.
Oh yeah.
I love coast to coast. I love Jimmy Church, Fade to Black. That's my favorite, I think.
Yeah. I love it because the fact it's guest driven, and you just let the guests tell you what they know and go from there. So I was thinking about that and stuff. And so those guys were kind of petered out, and he was like, well, you're the only one left. You think about doing a show by yourself? And I said, I thought you never asked.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I started getting guests, just reading people's books, getting guests on there. And I did it for 5 years, and it's the most interesting thing. I was always curious about this. What are they hiding from me and stuff? And I said, the only thing you really know is what you don't know.
Yeah.
What you don't know and stuff. And to dismiss a person and say they're crazy, and that's the worst thing you could do, because we've done that through history and found out that guy knew what he was talking about,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we found out they were telling the truth, so we could dismiss people, and we find out that they were really telling the truth, and they knew something, and they weren't crazy, So there are cryptoids we don't know about. We are being visited by alien races, obviously.
Yeah.
There's creatures on this planet we still don't know about. People have ghostly experiences. I've had some myself. I was in a haunted apartment, and you don't really believe stuff like that until it happens to you. And this apartment, to tell you a story, this apartment that I was in was it was an old apartment. A guy converted it to efficiencies, and it had like those Murphy beds in it. It was it was nice. It had like a marble floor and stuff. It was a nice building back in the day. Might have been in the 30s or 20s or something like that. And he just the bigger apartments, he just kind of made them into efficiencies. So it had a little kitchenette. I could see everything, 5 windows in it, could see everything from there and stuff. And first time I came in there and stuff, I was like, oh, it's a Murphy bed. Pulled it down and I said, oh, somebody evidently got a mattress for it. They pull out the wall. And I was always afraid of laying in Murphy beds, because I'm thinking about the Three Stooges when they go up in the Murphy trapped in there. So I said, why not have a bed tonight? The mattress looked pretty nice, put a sheet on it, we'll sleep in it, And I would hear it sound like people walking in a hall and up in the floor. I couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
Walk, stop, here, So I'm laying in the bed, and I got my back turned to the door, because where I am is just a bathroom. There's a kitchenette. You see the door and stuff. And I feel somebody sit on the edge of the bed. And I'm thinking, somebody broke in. Like, oh my God, somebody broke in. I said, and this asshole is going to sit next to me on top of it. And my heart was about to beat out of my chest. And I was like, I got to turn around, and I got to fight this guy or whoever it is.
Yeah.
Because it felt like they laid in the bed next to me. I said, oh my God. I said, I'm thinking I got to fight for my life. So I'm going to roll out the bed. Look, there's nothing there. but I could see the weight of a body on the mattress.
Whoa.
And it got up, and I'm about ready to faint, you know. So I didn't go to sleep till morning. And another time I was going to sleep. I got a Murphy bed the next day. I got a what is it called? Not a Murphy. I got oh god, the beds that fold up in their couch. So I put the Murphy bed in there and stuff, and I got my own bed that's like a couch and stuff. So I said I'm not gonna sleep in that bed ever again because I don't know if that's the original bed. Maybe
Yeah.
belongs to somebody else.
Oh man.
One day I'm going to sleep in there, and I was working late, and and I said, "Oh, I'm falling asleep on the bed," and I hear somebody call my name. They said, "Ron," and I was like, "Oh, must be starting to dream, going into REM sleep." So I kind of ignored it, and then they said my name again. I felt a breath on my ear, and got up, and you could see every part of that apartment. It was just like this place is haunted, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Man, that
I
would
do
scare the
believe,
hell out of me. That would scare the
yeah,
hell out of me. Like ghosts,
right.
I've always like aliens have been my thing since I was a kid, but ghosts have always like scared. Like there's part of me that's like, yeah, it's not true. There's nothing to be scared of. And the other part's like, yeah, it's terrifying. I don't want no
Right.
part of it. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Winchester Mansion in California.
Yes.
So
Yes.
me and my ex-wife went there and we were all jacked up to go. It's like, oh, we're going to go see this haunted house. And, you know, I was so disappointed when I showed up. Like it was this tour, which we knew it was going to be a tour, but I didn't feel anything. And
Hmm.
by the end of the tour, they had like a second portion of it. We were just like, you know what, screw this. We're just going to leave. So I've always wanted to go to like an actual haunted house because it was such a disappointment. Like, it was weird and everything, like staircases leading to nowhere, just rooms that don't belong, just totally strange in every possible way. But I didn't feel anything, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
When I did my show, people would ask me to come, and the Lizzie Borden house. They asked me, "Hey, why don't you come over, and stay a night?" Because they made where that horrible murder was
Yeah.
a bed and breakfast, and they got a couch that looks like a couch that he was found on. Lizzie Borden's father, and people like this. I was like, no. No, I don't like it. They asked me to come to certain places, and I was like, no, no, I don't like that feeling. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do that. All right. And I'm afraid that things might follow you home too.
Now
So I
that's
was like,
creepy. That is creepy. And I'm going to write that down as a note. But how much investigation did you actually, like physical investigation, did you do, or was it more of just like you on the show?
I would have the guests there. The guests would talk about their stuff, and literally it was very, very interesting listening to them and telling their stories and stuff. And there was one guy I remember specifically, and he said that that there are a lot of things in the movie are fake, and then a lot of things they give you information to try to build you up to certain things and stuff, and you get information from people that have studied. So there's one guy that was on there that said he was talking about the government was hiding things, and his thing, he said that the government created AIDS, just like a biological weapon,
Yeah.
but it got out of hand and stuff. Nobody thought about patient zero that was a stewardess on a plane spreading it everywhere else. But it's like just like COVID,
Yeah.
is that nobody thought about those things because after the Geneva Convention, I think it's World War I, they said you can't use biological weapons.
Yeah.
These are rules of war. But it's only cheating if you get caught.
Yeah.
So,
I've heard the
so
same thing with Lyme's disease, that they created Lyme's disease on Plum Island to
exactly.
stop
What's
people
the
from eating
island?
meat.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
an island they
Plum
created that on.
Island, it's called. Yeah,
Yeah,
Plum Island. And there's also stories about like them doing all
horrible
sorts of crazy
monsters
stuff.
washing up.
Monsters, like time travel, portals,
Right.
wormholes, like all sorts
The
of crazy
Philadelphia
stuff going on.
experiment.
I
Yeah,
think so. I think that's
the
where
Philadelphia
they were.
experiment.
Yeah.
Right. So they and he said that not only that they had the cure for it. He said he was a military, ex-military. He said they had the cure for it also too.
Well, that's one thing about biological weapons is I learned this during COVID, is you create the disease and the vaccine at the same time. It's like a co-production because you don't want one without the other.
Right. We're thinking on the same line here because when it came out, I was like, wow, it took them just 3 months to find something. And I was telling, when I talk to friends about it, they're like, there he goes with that stuff again. I said, just think about this. I was like, took 5 years to find a vaccine for polio. Less than 3 months, it came with the vaccine. Now, if you were one of the big pharmaceutical places, I came to you and say, look, I'm not going to tell you where this came from, whatever. We got a vaccine that cures COVID. Hold on to it for a couple of months. Make it look like you made the cure, you got it, you did everything, and then we will buy all of it from you too to treat people. So, would you tell if you're in big pharma, would you Moderna or Pfizer? Would you tell anybody, hey, they gave me the cure? No, you're gonna make a ton of money.
Yep. And Moderna was sponsored by the CIA.
Yes.
Moderna is a pure CIA creation. I mean, this company did not exist before COVID, and the CIA created it. And the way that they told people to these companies to explain the vaccine is like, oh, we have these computer simulations now. And I heard the guy who created Doom talking about this, which is he's a crazy guy. Like I like listening to him talk because he's out of there. He's out of this world on AI and stuff. But he was saying that they just use computer simulations and it took hours to do this. So what a great, scapegoat. Is like, oh, we've got these great computers. We can just pump all this data in and right away we can just say, yep, look, this works. Just a great scapegoat.
So the guy I had, he said that, he explained this and stuff. And so he ends up in one of the crazy magazines, The Sun or something like that. Guy says government created AIDS, and as a biological weapon. So he ends up in one of those and stuff. And there's Ron, you gonna have him on there? I said, yeah, I'm gonna have him on the show. I said, because if you ever saw Men in Black, I said the government will discredit you. And I said, when the Tommy Lee character tells Will Smith, he said, there's a flying saucer around there. He said, how do you know? He said, well, I'm going to stop. And he goes and gets one of those Sun magazines or something like that. The Inquirer looks in there, three-headed men with three-headed baby and stuff like that. He said, there's nothing in there. And he said, we put the truth in here with the lies. Yeah. Nobody knows. And he said, oh, yeah, the flying saucers will be hidden, by the Brooklyn Bridge, and he got something, and it appeared there. Literally.
Kernels of truth in every lie. That's why they're so good at it. Is they can give you one of my favorite guys on the internet. He says that like the corporate media is factual but not truthful, which is I think a great line because they can take something that like here's a fact and then just spin this whole crazy narrative around a fact and make it look like the truth when in fact it's just some crazy story.
I mean, with social media, they're spreading most of the lies.
Yes.
They did it in those like crazy mags. So now they're spreading most of the lies because it's all about the narrative. And one of the things when I was going to talk to you about really, on this show is why the U.S. government, other governments of the world, not told us about.
Yeah, let's get into that. Let's get into that. And first off, like before we get, I think that the UFO community is being far too lenient on the government right now. I feel like that the community has been pushing for disclosure for so long and that they're so happy to see this that they're getting complacent in a lot of ways. I see a lot of UFO type shows where they don't discuss politics. Like, we're not going to talk about politics. And unfortunately, like now we are in the realm of politics when it comes to UFOs. Like there's no escaping that. And I think that they do themselves a bit of a disservice by not looking into the people who are pushing this narrative a little bit deeper. Like, they know far more about UFOs than I ever could, but I know a lot about the government, and I know that the government are liars. So what do you think is going on?
They only give us props. And I said I had several reasons why they don't. And first of all, I would talk about power. I'm sure they've had contact, I'm sure, with aliens. I'm sure, I'm positive that they are reverse engineering data that they've gotten, they've stolen and stuff from crashes and everything and stuff, because, people report crashes and then they're there to tell you didn't see anything. And we know it happened. The first thing happened was the Roswell crash.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 1947?
47, yeah.
Yeah, the Roswell crash. Now, that was big because, and they never knew how to handle the locals. So then they had to write the book on how to handle the locals. Because think about it, if the flying saucers crash, you know that the EMTs, the fire department is going to be there, the police going to be there before you. So they had to handle the locals. And the Army had to put that in their little book about how do we handle the locals. And the Air Force. So you have Jesse Marcel, and you go from one thing, you go to saying, we're catching a flying saucer. Because the captain there thought, hey, I make an announcement. We've captured a flying disc.
Yeah.
No, we don't do that. We don't do that. Because he was like, I thought this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, people are going to want to know.
Right, yeah. So a trained Air Force captain don't know the difference between a flying disc and a silver weather balloon.
Yeah. And
we know people tell their real secrets on the deathbed and stuff. Especially in Coast to Coast, the Sun said, they made a fool out of him. He said they made a fool out of him. I know the difference,
Yeah.
And stuff. But the technology, it holds a lot of power. And if we really get contact, when I'm thinking about people in power, you have to give it the power. And I think they've already wanted to team up with us, possibly help and stuff. It's like, no. People in power, first of all, and there's different layers of this. I would say people in power say no. The reason the people in power say no is because they would feel like they'd had to give it up and they'd have to change that the way it is. There's a great episode of Star Trek, and it's it is called the Star Trek episode. I wrote it down here. So, it's called from Star Trek: The Next Generation, The Neutral Zone.
Ah.
And so you see that one.
I'm a big Next Generation guy. I think it's the best of all of them. Personally,
I thought I would not like Picard when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my God, Picard's a diplomat. He's cool. I thought I would not like those characters, but I love it. But in the neutral zone, you have people that have been frozen for 300 years in cryogenics, and they find a capsule, and it's like modern Earth people. It's a housewife. There's a billionaire in there. There's a guitarist and stuff. So they take them out of cryogenic state because they're hoping they pay good money. Whatever disease they have, maybe they'll find them, and they'll be able to cure them. So they did. They had them on Enterprise. And so the guy who's the millionaire, and he keeps telling Picard, I got to talk to you. I got to get back to Earth. And it's like, I've got plenty of money. I'm an important man and stuff.
Yeah, we're communists now.
Right. So Picard tells him, man, I love that. What he says, he said that we've grown out of our infancy. Ugh. He said we've eradicated hunger, and people want no longer, and they're not obsessed with things. And he said, and so the millionaire tells him it's never been about possessions or things. It's about power to control your life and your destiny. And Picard said, control is the illusion. He said, really? I should be dead, but I'm here talking to you. They pay for it. So I think the power would they give up control because we look to them for a lot of things. Because if you flew through wormholes billions of light years away, we know that you're smarter than the present people we have right now.
Yeah.
And power. And they know they're smarter. They probably come to them and I heard stories like aliens have told them and stuff, nuclear waste, you're having a problem with it. Here's the real way to control this and stuff. Don't want that. Don't want this, how to do this. Don't want that and stuff. Now, the medicine would be a great thing. Now, medicine. Think about medicine. Oh my God, yes. Medicine. I was like, there's no way, absolutely no way, no way that medicine, we allow them, I was talking to a buddy, he said, there's no way they would allow us to contact them and talk to them about medicine because evidently they have a great amount of medical knowledge. And so that would be a problem right there. I said, why? And I said, okay. Then people are getting mad at me about, let's say, cancer, first of all. Cancer is $1 billion industry.
Yes.
Cancer is $1 billion industry.
And chemotherapy doesn't even really work. It's kind of a lie.
It's a poison, as a matter of fact. It's a poison. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm saying people get mad and say they don't want to cure cancer. And they said, wait a minute. I said, don't. And your listeners might be listening. So my mom died of cancer.
Yeah.
I don't give anything to cancer. And people say, why do you not give anything to cancer? I said, okay. Now, with FDR, we found out that curing anything is the worst business model. And he said, I'll explain to you. I said, FDA started the March of Dimes, January 3, 1938. So he said, we're going to have a war on polio. We're going to cure polio. Started the March of Dimes. 17 years later, there's a cure. Collecting dimes. 17 years later, collecting 1955, Jonas Salk has a cure for it. Literally eradicates it. And then the March of Dimes looks up and they said, wow, we're in a little trouble here. We're going to have to change our business model. We're kind of put ourselves out of business. So now they change it to focus on the health of pregnancies. Mm. And they say, oh, no, we can do that forever. So they found out that's the worst business model, the cure.
Yeah.
The money's not in that. The money's in the medicine that we can continue for you buying. So we don't want to cure high blood pressure. Yeah. We keep pushing high blood pressure pills to you. We don't want to cure diabetes. We want to keep pushing that to you.
Yeah, we want you on insulin for the rest of your life.
Right.
It's the same thing with depression. So depression's like one of the biggest industries in the medical complex right now. And I don't know if you saw this, but a couple of months ago, a new study just came out that said that depression is not due to a chemical imbalance. They don't really know what it is, but it's not a chemical imbalance. So all these antidepressants that are supposed to fix the chemical imbalance in your mind have been doing nothing for the past 30 years. And maybe they've been helping people. Each case is going to be different. I take an antidepressant. It helped me. When I started taking it, I was having weight problems. So they gave me one that makes you gain weight. I haven't stopped taking it because I'm healthy now. So does it work? Does it not work? I don't know. But the model is keep taking more of them. We want you on this. We don't want to heal your body or your soul, your mind or your soul. We want you to just be on our medicine all the time. So control is an illusion.
They would come here from another world, another galaxy, and say we have advanced medicine.
Yeah. So when you say
probably have talked to some of our officials about, oh, we can help you with this. It's not a problem. No, not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It was like, no, that's not going to happen. That's the worst business model. And so my buddy's like, okay, still, whatever, what other type of examples you can show me where they have not tried to cure something. And I said, cancer. And I would keep going back to cancer. I said, why? Why do you keep going back to cancer? And I said, okay, think about it. Who is the president that said we're going to, just like FDR, we're going to fight a war on cancer? It was Nixon. It was Nixon. He made the announcement December 23rd, 1971.
And
We're going
Biden
to
just
have
did it again a
war
couple
on
weeks ago.
cancer. And they said 52 years. Not only we're not even close to a cure, but there's other types of cancer. There's more cancer. We're not even close to a cure.
I didn't know Nixon said that. Biden just said the same thing a couple of months ago. We're going to end cancer as we know it.
Right. Look at
You
Nixon
better believe it, Jack.
Nixon said it over 50
Wow.
years ago.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
He wanted to do like FDR.
Yeah.
But they looked up and the big pharmaceutical companies are like, wait a minute. No, we already seen that's a bad business model.
Wow. I didn't know that.
What's best is that we keep medicine and treat it. Like you say, there are chemo centers. There are actual cancer hospitals. You think they'd close after?
Yeah. We should have stem cell treatment centers in every city in America right now, but you got to go to Mexico to get the real stuff.
Exactly. And I told him, I said, here's my theory, that we possibly had already about 4 or 5 cures for it, which they put away.
Yeah.
They put away. And I said, because Jonas Salk was a guy kind of pretty much before Big Pharma. So he's working hard on it on his own and stuff, figuring it out and stuff. It's not like it is today. That's intellectual property. You got one guy said, I found it. I think I found the cure for cancer. It's good for you.
Yeah, and IP is a scam. Like there's no such thing as intellectual property. It's a total scam. Like it's to start a war with China. They're stealing our intellectual property. Meanwhile, it's these billionaires who are creating bullshit that should be able to be redistributed. It's nuts. So let's go back to
that's one of the main reasons, because there's money and there's also power.
Sure. So
if they landed here now and stuff, we would think they had an immense amount of power.
That's where I was going, actually. So you said earlier, like Picard, control is an illusion. So when I was a kid, like wanting disclosure my entire life, I was thinking they always, people are going to freak out, religion, blah, 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 blah. And I was kind of like, you know what?
I got that on.
And I was like, I don't believe it. I think people are ready for it. I think people want it. Now that I'm a little older and I kind of realize like whatever these civilizations are based on, like whatever technology they have, they are immensely more powerful than we are. And if we think that we're in control of our own civilization with somebody like that out there, that's an illusion. So do you think people would freak out?
I think the common man would not freak out. And the worst thing they would want is an alien talking to you or I.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Right.
I've always said if an alien shows up to my doorstep, I'm going to invite it inside, because if it's at my door, it could have already destroyed our entire planet if it wanted to. So if it's at my door, it's ready to talk. So I'm going to let it in and hear it out.
Yes. And there's no such thing but Men in Black show up at your door. What did you talk about? What was said? But you told me there's no such thing. But what did you talk about? What was said? We need to know everything.
Yeah.
Because they fear that you'll get some information that they want to withhold. And it's important that they create the narrative.
Yeah.
They don't want you and I talking to other heads of state. Oh, our heads of state will meet your heads of state.
I'll do you one better. They don't want us talking to each other. The fact that we have the technology to do this is driving them insane.
Mm-hmm. But I think they're really good at discrediting you, making you look like a nut, or putting out their own shows, paying somebody else to do their own shows and make it sound nutty, And they're really good at that. Like I said, the example was the guy that told me that was on the show ended up in the Sun magazine, the Inquirer, stuff.
Yeah,
and on the crazy rat.
Yeah,
but he said, and they do that all the time. But we don't know what is this. So that's I never want to discredit anybody. I can't think of it. Uh, oh, Galileo.
Yeah.
He was like, yes, the planets are not revolving around us. I found out that the planets, we're in a solar system and we're revolving around the sun.
Yeah.
Heresy, you're crazy.
I love the story of Galileo. Ever since I heard that story, I've been fascinated with Jupiter. I stare at Jupiter every night out in my hot tub looking at it, thinking maybe am I seeing a little bit of like Jupiter has this weird flash where you can kind of see the moons going back and forth. And on a really clear night, you can almost like feel like you're seeing a distortion between the moons and the planet. It's really cool when you see it as it is.
I think money and like they're talking and giving us information that we would normally have and stuff. That's the fear.
Yeah.
That's the fear. We don't want them talking to the common man. No, they're not ready for this. I'm sure the heads of states that they're not ready for it. No, we're not ready to give up power. Because the moment you come and land and say, yeah, I could talk to the people of Earth and stuff, we'll stop listening to them. We'll listen to them.
Yeah.
And so, well, listen to us. We'll tell you what. No, they're the ones that flew through wormholes, literally.
Yeah.
And came here, and from light years away. They have the technology that we don't have. We're going to listen to them. We're going to listen to them. We would turn our attention to them, and power is everything. And that was so. I'm sure they've contacted them and said, no, you need to let this go and stuff, and I think people will talk about freedom, and then I think they're scared. Oh, yeah, they'll come here. Maybe we'll lose our freedom. And I said, I've seen a history, and we don't look at history and understand history. I said, all the time, what was the U.S. bill? We came here because we were under control, and we wanted our freedom. All we do is learn to say we're freedom. They're taxing us. We want freedom. We want to be connected with this and stuff. We don't want to be connected with Europe and Britain and the king. We want to be free of that control. We get here, we start controlling others.
Yes.
One thing we learn is if we come from colonization, we learn to colonize. We learn to colonize, and once you learn it, you can't ever go home and stuff. Liberia, when they I'm African American, for those who don't know, when Lincoln said, yeah, if you want to go back to Liberia, they're free, you can go back to Liberia. There were African Americans, ex-slaves that went to Liberia, and there's some over there to this day and stuff. And I talked to somebody from Liberia and said, yeah, you guys can't come home. What you do is then you get in control. We had several of ex-Americans that have been leaders of Liberia and stolen money, did things and stuff. Yeah, when you colonize, you learn to be a colonizer.
Yeah.
Came over to Native Americans, what did we do to them? So, yeah, so you learn that the power. You don't let go of that power. And we know from history, and they might not always be friendly. We know when people come with superior weaponry and superior technology, doesn't end up well for the native people.
Never has.
Does not.
Yeah,
right.
Never has.
Or we give them something, let them kill themselves.
Yeah.
We give them something and let them kill themselves also too. Guns, weapons, powder, knives.
Whatever the energy source for their craft is very, very dangerous. I mean, if the little ones can go as fast as they go, a big one can destroy this planet. Right. No problem.
Or according to Zachariah Stitchin, they came here when we were talking about religion. They came here and said, we need help. Let's give these men an upgrade.
Yeah.
Let's create Homo sapien.
Which we're doing it right now. Elon Musk is doing it to chimps right now. Hey, let's give them a brain implant and let them play with computers.
And what did Homo sapien did? We said, we don't know what happened to the Neanderthals. As soon as you got smart, maybe we said we don't have to compete with the Neanderthals. Let's get rid of them. It won't be the first group of animals that we cause the extinction of. We said, they're not smart as us. We don't need to compete with them for women. Let's get rid of Neanderthals.
They're stronger than us. They're dangerous.
Yes. And guess what? There's a lot of animals stronger than us. But because of that upgrade that we got, they said, we became the apex predators. They say, yeah, tigers and lions are much stronger than us. We invented a gun. So we won't have to deal with fighting hand to hand,
Yeah.
So that's what happens. You get an upgrade, or you come with superior knowledge. So that might be scary. A group might come and they might not want to be friendly.
Yeah.
I saw something earlier too, and there was religion. When you talk about religion, the Catholic Church has a lot of knowledge in that library, and they've stolen a lot of information. They raided the library in Alexandria.
Yep.
They've stolen artifacts, and they know the real truth. And they have a telescope.
The Lucifer telescope.
Yes, they have a telescope.
Ugh.
They call it. They
so creepy.
Lucy now.
That's so creepy. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean,
right? They're telling themselves. So they've stolen from every part of the country, every part of the world. Any artifacts, they've stolen it. Anything they thought was theirs, anything. So religion, if they landed here, think about people who say they're the people we should look up. Well, who do they worship?
Yeah.
They're smarter than us. Because when you come from another planet, you bring your religion. And you're like, they're superior than us. Maybe we should listen to their religion.
Yeah. And we like to impose it. Not just offer it, but impose it. Like, hey, this is the true God.
Right.
The one true God. Yeah, that's scary.
You might not want to tell them. And then the Catholic Church and other churches have been saying and stuff, man was made in the image of God. Who are they?
Yeah.
Who are they? And I think it's ridiculous to think when the creators started to make something, they stopped at one. We know they didn't stop at one type of cat, one type of dog, we know they didn't stop at one anything. So why would you think you'd be the only one? It just makes no sense. But if you want to, it's all about controlling the narrative. You're controlling the narrative, keeping the money, keeping the power. That would be the scariest thing if they came here. And I'm sure they've had contact with them and they told them, But like I said, the worst thing is that if they came to the average man, you and I, and they started talking to them, that would scare them to death. What are you talking about? What are you saying? What are you saying? And another great movie was Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
It's one of my favorites. I love that movie. Yeah. The remastered version with it in 4K with the bigger shots. It's great. I love it.
What scared them to death is and what scared them to death, which might have been some truth in it. The trip to Planet Circle might have been true.
I've always been fascinated by that story.
Yes, might have been some truth in that about that. Because the military is going up with their gear and stuff, and the Richard Dreyfuss guy. We chose him. We chose an average guy. Yeah, you got your whole group and stuff. You said, we're going to take that trip there and stuff. You're loading all your stuff on and stuff. But this is one we chose. We called these people, which you stopped from coming.
Yeah.
You stopped from coming. We'd rather you to take military,
Man, I never really put that connection together. I'm going to watch that movie again tonight. That's an interesting point of view on that. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. We don't want your military. What good are they going to do? They're trained to do one thing and one thing only. We want somebody whose mind is open to different possibilities, not just hammered in, propaganda for their entire lives. Oh man,
several people were called to be there. The Richard Dreyfuss character was called to be there.
Yeah.
And they were stopping them every chance they got. It's like, he's the one I'm called to be there. They're stopping the people that were coming there.
Yeah, they were gassing them.
Right. But those are the people who are called to be there. We want to give you the military because we're going to control the narrative. They know
Yeah.
how it works. They know everything. And stuff. I can't think of the guy who we're talking about government.
David
I can't
Grush.
think of his
What do you think about this David Grush character? The guy that they're toting out, he's the whistleblower, the first whistleblower, government whistleblower ever. He did the big News Nation interview, and now they've got him, front and center in Congress with the 2 fighter pilots next to him. This is a really
Yes.
interesting thing because you can't really understand this guy unless you really dig into Skinwalker Ranch. Because David Grush and all these guys, they're Skinwalker Ranch ghost hunters, but they're trying to, the narrative is we've got these little flying saucers that are screwing with our pilots and we need to get to the bottom of this. So they put this ghost hunter and again, like I'm all for ghost hunting and all that kind of stuff, but that is not what they're selling here. They're not selling that we're going and studying Skinwalker Ranch. They're really pushing this UFOs and flying saucer or fighter jets and flying saucers narrative. So what do you think about this guy?
I think they're controlling the narrative again.
Yeah.
They control the narrative again. Like any good magician, it's like, notice nothing up my sleeve, nothing in my hand. I want you to look over here, look over here, look over here, so you won't know what I'm doing on the other hand. So we push the narrative again. We want you to hear from this and told you we don't know what they are. We got this on camera. It's all fuzzy and stuff like that. They've got ones they clearly know what they are, And it's not all fuzzy. It's not look like, it's like, okay, you're in a fighter, you're a fighter jet.
Give me a GoPro. Throw a GoPro up in there.
Right,
like when the first videos came out of these like Go Fast and all these flying saucers that they're showing, the first thing I did was search on the internet. I went to fighter jet GoPro and found all these amazing videos of like the Blue Angels fighting, like flying with GoPros all over their planes and stuff. And it's like, come on, man. You can't give me a GoPro in the window.
Fuzzy, looks like a top. You're talking about that. You've got some clear shots of ones and stuff.
Of course.
But again, it's about controlling this narrative that we see and stuff. Like this morning, they get up there and they say, on TV and stuff. Oh, we just NASA. I see the T-shirts that said FNAT. I don't know if I can cuss, but F
yeah,
NASA.
Go ahead.
Fuck NASA.
Yeah.
And I said it right because NASA all the time. The only thing they give us is that this is how you wash your hair in space. Oh, look at this. He's eating pudding in space. I'm gonna sing Major Tom.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, watch this guy play the guitar.
Right. Let's say if one more astronaut plays Major Tom. So I'm like, and they said, oh, they're excited this morning and said, here, guess what we did? We had a satellite catch up with an asteroid attached to it, and we got samples back from that moving asteroid. I said, why they did that with the Black Knight satellite? It's been going around our planet for the longest. Everybody act like they don't know exactly what it is. Send a satellite attached to it. You can attach to a moving asteroid because you know what it is. They told you. We monitor you. Don't bother that. That's ours. They've told people. The people that is important. They've told military, told officials. I'm sure they asked them, what is that? The satellite we monitor. Yeah, I think the moon is exactly what they say it is. Another base they put there and stuff. And it's like doesn't seem natural for all the other moons. They keep saying it's not natural. Why it's perfectly round.
There's so much weird stuff about it.
Yes, and it rains. The Obama administration said we're going to shoot a rocket up there and just crash into the moon, and it rained for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? Why did you take your time to just crash a rocket? Because you know something about it. And then I don't know. People said, "Do we really go to the moon or not?"
I don't think we did personally.
The Van Allen belt.
Yes.
Why are you saying the Van Allen belt? We can't get through the Van Allen belt, or do we have the technology to get through it now? I don't know.
Maybe.
But
And maybe we just didn't have the tech to go through just to get there, period. You know, like I don't know if you've seen A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, but I think that documentary is pretty incontroversial. They show some stuff that is just wild. A lot of
we went there in a 76 Nova. A 76
yeah,
Nova.
exactly.
Really, we went there. I joked with friends. I said, we went to the moon in a 76 Nova. Now we got Mercedes and we haven't been back. Maybe we're told not to go back. And then they say, guess what? You have more technology in your hand than we went to at home. Now, did we get there and we we're told not to come? Or did we put on a stage thing to say, hey, we made it to the moon? Because you haven't been back. You've been trying.
And we don't have the technology to do it. NASA says it. They'll tell you, we destroyed it all. Why would you destroy technology? That makes no sense whatsoever.
And you destroyed pictures.
Yeah.
You said everything on Mars we doctored. They said, well, we have to doctor them because of the color on Mars and stuff. And they say original people would say, hey, go to where the face is and go to where it looks like there's a pyramid there and stuff. Why? We don't want to. Everybody's asking you to do it. Do it. Well, we don't really want to because we know what's there, but we don't. Shut us up. Shut us up. But we keep saying there's something there. Shut us up. And they admit that they doctor pictures. They doctor pictures. They, oh yeah, because of the color and stuff like that. We doctor them. Yeah, we don't give you exactly, what you see and stuff. NASA is one of the biggest liars. And I was like, yeah, I said, the Black Knight satellite. You say you know what it is. It's in our atmosphere. You say you can go there. If there's an asteroid passing by, you attach a satellite to it. Something is getting orbit around our planet. You can't do it. First thing, because you had to look at it because you probably thought it was something from the Russians. You had to know what it was. You can't say you just didn't look at it and we don't know what it is for this. Like, you'd have found out what it was. If the Russians put something, you already know what it is. That's come you're not interested in looking at it.
My favorite NASA project right now is the James Webb Space Telescope. It's out in a Lagrange point, thousands and thousands of miles from here. It could be a video game and nobody would ever know. Like, why? If I'm NASA, like, why would I show the real footage? Like, let's put our own narrative out there. Let's screw with these people and say, maybe the Big Bang didn't happen from this one, or maybe, we don't understand light speed as well as the gravity from these, they could do all kinds of stuff with that thing and make it a video game and nobody could ever check it because it is so far away that the only technologically advanced people that have the technology to do this would be NASA. So it's like, hey, we've got a project out here. You can't check on it, but trust us. We're telling you the truth.
And they said that the Groom Lake, the base in Mexico didn't exist.
Yeah.
And we were looking at it for years. They said it didn't exist.
It's crazy.
Google map. It's on Google Map. We see it. Yeah. It's not there. Okay, it's there. You can't come on.
Yeah. But we're not doing anything. We're not doing anything crazy.
Right.
Why would you think that?
It was like, it's not a secret. Everybody knows what it is. They denied it was there. Yeah. For the longest. I was like, how could you keep saying it's not there and we see it?
These people are sick.
Looking at it.
These people are sick.
You got physicists that say nobody, beyond this point.
Yeah.
People are getting trucked in and trucked out. It was like, it's not there. It's not there. They say, okay, it's there. Finally, they admit it's there. I said, so it's amazing. I said, but I only have theories of why they won't tell us. And I said that, and those theories just seem to connect. I was like, because I believe they already have contact. The thing is, they don't want to mess up what they have. How many government officials that are being caught right now, and they're caught? Now I saw one last week and said, "I'm not going anywhere." I said, but there's, he said, you'll go to court for this and stuff, money laundering and stuff like that. Well, let it go and stuff. I'm not giving up my seat.
Yeah.
American people put me in here, and I'm going to stay. It was like,
They're sick.
there was this list of
There was a big list of like Congress men and women from both sides of the aisle that came out today that are like all investing heavy in weapons manufacturing today because of the Israel thing going on. And they're just all in on Lockheed Martin. And, you know, they know that they're about to get some major contracts. Sick.
That's right. But my thing is, it's all about, and I can't understand too. Whoever we say there are enemies, we're doing business with.
Yeah.
We're doing business with Russia. I was like, yeah, you know, the grain production might slow up. Why don't we grow our own grain? And why are we dependent on somebody we have a good relationship? And it's because it's money. It's money.
Yep.
Is it what's the call song when the walls came down at the end that said, there ain't no Russians, there ain't no Yanks, just corporate criminals playing with tanks.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's about right.
But we need to know in our mind we're fighting. We don't like them. We don't like them. We don't like the Iranians. We like their oil and stuff. But we got oil here. Why buy it there?
There's so much oil. You know, there's so much natural gas. We don't even know how much natural gas there is. The only thing that limits oil and natural gas production is how much money we're willing to throw at it. Like we actually don't even really know how natural gas is created, and it may just be some planet cycle, and there could be unlimited natural gas. We don't even know.
Guess who they give the biggest grants to? They say, we want you to find an alternative to natural gas. We give it to the gas company.
Exactly. Here, Shell, find a way to put yourself really out of business.
They're like, oh, we're looking really hard for alternative. We can squeeze every drop. And then we'll tell you what the alternatives are, because we'll be ahead of that already.
Oh, yeah.
So, we give grants to them. Can you find alternatives to put yourself out of business? We'll do that.
Absolutely. Just give us the money. We promise that we're on it. Just give us the money. And it's a self-perpetuating cycle. The politicians make the deals with the oil and gas companies, and after they get out of office, they're on the board, Raytheon or Shell or whoever they did the most deals for.
I'm thinking about, but back engineering ever since Roswell, back engineering.
Yeah, that's something I should ask. Do you think we can?
In my time, just my time, I said it's incredible the things that have happened, the things that happened and stuff, and the things we saw that were coming. There was a thing that was talking about Star Trek tech, and I was like, oh my God, they were so ahead and right on their time and stuff. And I saw this thing that said they talked to engineers and people in the know about what was coming up. We saw Kurt doing this and stuff, when they bring him a report. I said, he's got an iPad.
Yeah.
Like, sign off on the iPad. The computers talk. I said, oh, look at that. The computer, you can talk to the computers and stuff,
Yeah.
Asking questions, they respond. That's a flat screen. Look at Vore has a Bluetooth in her ear. What I'm thinking. Oh, it looks like a flip phone.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, all this stuff that they knew were coming because they're in the process. Was it General Corso?
Yeah.
The military first and then dumping off stuff to IBM and other things. Hey, we found this. See what you can do with it.
Well, and there's an interesting story with the guy who created the transistor. He was a nobody. And then he created this amazing piece of equipment that has revolutionized our world in so many different ways. And then he never created anything again the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Never invented another thing. And maybe he didn't need to, but he tried.
I believe they toss out things to people and say, look what you can do with it. But of course, the military got theirs first.
Yeah. I think that the brain chip is the big one. I think that they've been working on these. Well, I know they've been working on these brain chips in DARPA since the early 2000s. And now they've, a couple DARPA members are on Elon Musk's board, and they can't really just test computer chips on soldiers. You know,
Mhm.
they can't really just make super soldiers in the open. That would be a little bit sketchy. So what they got to do is get it onto the open market, because what they really need to do is figure out what's going on in here. If you really want to control everyone, which they do, you got to figure out how they think and how you can change how they think. And they're really good at it now without really knowing anything about the brain. Imagine how good they will be at it once they figure out what's going on inside of this thing. Ugh, it's creepy.
I believe though, if they eventually there'll have to be somebody like us that would be able to, and then we probably wouldn't believe it because they'd be on YouTube
Right.
and
I've got a
tell their
guy
story.
coming on in 2 weeks who says he's an alien. And it's like, I love the way you guys do your shows on like coast to coast and stuff like that. I'm all in. Like
Oh, I don't do it
I'll
anymore.
yeah,
Actually,
I know you don't, but like
I
I like it when people just let you talk, and I'm gonna be all in with this guy. I hope he's telling the truth. I really do. That would be incredible.
that again, as far as religion, that they're scared of. I have people now that say, uh, then I'm a Star Trek. I'm half Palladian, I'm half human.
Yeah.
But people that said that and stuff. And I said, could be, I don't know. Was that I don't say they're crazy or anything. Like I said, I don't want to get dismissive, and
Yeah.
I don't know because people will tell you things and you say they were right. They were right. When we're all saying they were crazy, how many times through history you're right? I can't think of his name. That the the doctor was like, in a Civil War times and back, there was like if you're a surgeon, you had the bloodiest smock. You come in there, bloodiest smock, showed you his head. And there's one surgeon that's like, I think we're killing our patients because we're not washing our hands and stuff. I think there are things on our hands
Yeah.
that we don't see that we're killing people. It's too small for us to see. Oh, crazy man. Made microscopes big enough to find, oh, there's things called germs. He was right.
Yeah.
He was right.
I remember hearing
So,
about that. The first time he looked into the microscope and just saw everything moving, they were like, "Oh my god, what happened?"
right. You never washed your hands. You're doing surgery on somebody. You're killing your patients.
Yeah.
A good doctor has blood on the spot. Never washes the spot. We know you got to change your clothes, change your shoes, change everything, cover up everything when you go in there and stuff. It's got to be sterile. But we'll think that somebody's crazy until we find out. We have to catch up with people sometimes. They're far ahead of us. We have to catch up. We've seen geniuses that are far ahead of us, and we have to catch up with them. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Or they bring something
We
that
still haven't caught up with Nikola Tesla.
no, we have not. We have not.
Or we
There's,
have, and we've just brushed, swept it all under the rug, which
I think
could also be a possibility. There's some new, I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named Randall Carlson, but he's been working with Malcolm, what's his name? Bladwell, something like that. I don't know. And they're working on these new thunderstorm generators, they're calling them, and using plasma technology apparently to, how do I describe this? Pump emissions from a petrol vehicle into this plasma generator, and it'll get rid of all the emissions in your car, like 90% of it or something like that. Make your car 90% efficient. That'd be an interesting thing.
speaking of that, it was like, there was a guy when I had my show that was in Columbus. He came through Columbus. He had a 98 Oldsmobile. And he said that he had been on another show and he said, we take the husk of corn. I say ethanol? He said, no. You take the complete husk. And he said, and we turn it into fuel. He said, I'm working on a farm. We turn it into fuel. He said, you don't have to change anything about the present engines right now and stuff like that. We don't have to pump anything. The thing you throw away from corn, that's what we use.
Hmm.
You can grow gas now. So it's like, so what we do is, and he said, and the engine changes and everything. And he said, the car I'm driving in now, he had been on another show. Car I'm driving in now, driving around America. And I said, you got to be on my show. Gave me his number. Tried to call him. His phone was dead. Everything, couldn't find him anymore. He disappeared. Asked people, he disappeared. They don't know where he is. So, what happened? He had a car actually running off of it. He said, I didn't do anything to the engine. It's just, we broke down the husk of corn. So we can drill. We don't have to worry about gas.
Yeah. That's
I think he
interesting.
disappeared because he did know something, not because he was crazy.
I've heard that there's this guy right now. I don't remember his name, but he's working on I think it's like a bacteria or something like that. Maybe it's I don't remember exactly what it is, but essentially you would breed this stuff in the ocean and it would eat plastic. It would eat all the microplastic, and then you could harvest it and use it as fuel. I said, wow, that guy's looking to be buried in the ocean with his invention.
Yes. He will disappear probably also.
Too. Right. All right, Ron. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I'll have to have you on again.
I got a couple of books, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me turn off the music. You got a couple books to plug. I'm sorry about that.
Yes, I got a couple of books that said they are fiction books. Well, one is a nonfiction, is a social work book, but
okay.
That one was a long time ago, but untitled book, Healers, 3 Tales of Miracles, Angels, and Lost Souls. It's a fictional book. There's 3 stories about ordinary people that acquire the power to heal, how it changes their life, and how it would be in a modern day setting right now. The first story is called The Gangster and the Gifts, about a gangbanger. He joined this deadly street gang, and he acquired the power to heal, change his life. The second one is called Good Intentions. It's about a good storefront minister that acquires the power he's always wanted to heal his aging congregation, how it turns them into a completely different person. And the last one is called Only Women Bleed. It's about a young mother of 2. She acquires the power to heal and how it changes her life. Now, this book is paperback, or you're getting Kindle and stuff. I think right now it's down to a lower price, like $13 on Amazon. But if you say, I just want something short, and you think about aliens and stuff, I have a Kindle book. It's 99 cents. It's called Island Alien, and it's about an alien contact and Put-in-Bay off the shores of Cleveland, Ohio. So,
excellent. Okay. I will put those down in the description. Ron, it's been a pleasure talking with you. We'll have you on again sometime. I'm sure you have endless stories to tell.
Yeah, thanks. So they used to say on the show I had, doubt if you dare, but believe if you have the courage. So.